started, and we're seeing a dragon. Dangerous opening from Anish.
Yeah, I'm a bit surprised that he's going for these kind of hostile lines, but you see by how quickly he's playing, he's well prepared. He's not afraid. And I did message with Anish, full disclosure. He and I talked yesterday. He was disappointed by his loss. He felt like he could have won that match. Towards the end, there was some knight end game where he was up a couple pawns, and he felt like he really let that match go. So he is not just a person who's saying, oh, I'm going to come to the Bull Chess Championship and I'll play a couple matches, and if I bow out, that's okay. He wants to win his matches, and, well, he's not off to the best start here. Ohanian has a good position with white.
Yes, I mean, the dragon is a very risky opening to play, and white does seem to be doing pretty well here with that lovely open file and some, I'd say, better pawn structure here. Anish pushing on the king side, though, making a bit of progress there. And I'm surprised the evaluation bar was so high in white's favour, and it's actually now dropped to say it's a pretty even position.
And suddenly the Black Knight, I mean, it's working its way, maneuvering. Oh, he went backwards. I thought he wanted to go forwards, but his king was in the e-file and the pawn was pinned. But he just blundered.
He just blundered. Just a big blunder there. And now white has a completely winning position. You've still got to make the breakthrough, though. Not so simple to do, and this is a good idea when you've got extra material. Make exchanges. Anish trying to complicate the matter.
Wait, did he just
white must be winning this.
Did he have pawn takes e4 and rook d5 checkmate? Like, that was very close with that king on c5. But speaking of checkmate, that king on a6 has no moves. So if you can somehow...
It's a draw.
It's a draw.
What a draw. You won't see many draws like this.
Look at Ohanian. He's like, he can't believe it. He's beside himself. It was the first game of the match. He had the upper hand. But that was good recognition by Anish. He spotted the king had no escape squares. Let's just go back and forth.
Yeah, that was an exciting first game to get us started there. And maybe a bit worrying for Anish fans, as his position was the worst, but he did manage to recover. And this next game now, seems like black is doing totally okay out of the opening.
Yes, and doing well in the clock. I don't know where Anish spent 16 plus seconds, but the position looks about neutral for the two sides. I'm just going to be worried about Anish's clock until he can prove to me that he is going to keep a steady pace.
Yeah, I think I'd prefer actually to be black here, because black has more space, and it's often easier to move when you have that space advantage. There's a bit of a weakness in the middle of the board. You see this pawn, the d3 pawn. Black's rooks are lined up against that pawn. And look at that black knight. The black knight has now landed and captured that pawn. So black goes a pawn up. White struggling here, and black playing very well. But, I don't like that decision. You're giving white a big pass pawn.
Oh, I hated that. I mean, normally I don't use such strong language, but that giving white a protected pass pawn on the rim, that had to be a bad decision. And I don't know if Anish can make progress here. He might just go back and forth, but black can't move the knight from d5. The pawn e3 is loose. The rook on a8 can't move, otherwise that pawn goes up to a6. So it feels like both sides are... Oh, Anish going for the win. I was going to say both sides were stuck.
Yeah, interesting decision from Anish there. I think he just realizes that his a pawn is so strong. And black has to really, as he is here, remain tied down because of that one little pawn. But, black does have this pawn on e3 as well. And I love what black's doing. I thought he was going to bring his king over to stop that pawn. He's changed his mind.
Yeah, and he gave up his pass pawn, but he's taken all of white's queenside pawns. And now it's a time scramble. Look at Anish. He's ahead on the clock. He's going to try to flag Ohanian.
Yep, he's doing everything he can. Wow, look at the speed they're playing at. And
King
dear,
B7.
King B7. And white's winning.
Mm-hmm.
Can he do this in time?
Yeah, he definitely has this. We saw his mouse skills yesterday. For Anish, this is just easy.
Easy. Remarkable it is easy. And wow, impressive play from Anish there, Robert. And again, I think Emin is going to be kicking himself. He had a great position, but Anish playing for the win in what should have been probably a drawn position. So brave play as well from Anish.
You mentioned brave play. I like the openings that we're getting. This isn't some kind of static positional battle. We are seeing some serious tactical fireworks, and we're getting another Sicilian. The Black King's on h8, staying off that a2, g8 diagonal from the light square bishop. But as I look at this position, I'm waiting. I was about to say waiting for the strike, and there it is. Whoa.
Oof. A lovely counter idea from Anish, threatening checkmate on g2. I see that we have someone in the chat saying, I can't follow this, guys. Can you ask him to slow down, please? I do feel the same myself quite often. It'd be good. I think chess.com need to make a slow motion button, Robert, for these events. You can just press it and everything's in slow motion for like old people like me, more leisurely pace.
Yeah, no, I think that to actually analyze the chess, that would be good for everybody, including the players. And that's why the Speed Chess Championship exists. Whoa, oh, that was apparently winning for Black, and then went to losing with that move. Nice find by you and by Ohanyan.
Bang. And the queen is coming into the position. This is the end. You can't even take that bishop because knight f6 wins the white queen. And a big win there for Emin, and he's gonna level the score.
Yeah, 1.5. He's as many points as he did yesterday against Hikaru. And as we said, when you play Hikaru, that kind of thing happens. Emin Ohanyan is a fantastic bullet player. He qualified his way into this field. And so we'll see if Anish can bounce back after that tough third game. But with the white pieces, he's going for what I like to call the super GM slow death, right? You go for like the slight advantage into the end game and then try to outlast your opponent.
Yeah, it's probably a good strategy. This is the kind of position that Anish really likes playing. It's kind of risk-free. And you have this square in the center of the board. I think Black is doing okay here, but it's just easier for White to play. His pawns can advance a little bit quicker than Black's. And there you go. He has created a weakness on the left-hand side of the board. I don't know if I like that decision, Robert, of getting rid of that knight there.
You and I both had the same reaction at the same time, Simon. I was like, that cannot be good. This is classic case of fantastic. That's a stallion on d4. It's untouchable. Not a single black piece can attack it. And that bishop on d7, it's staring into all sorts of brick walls. So this is a knight a6 check. There was a fork there, so that's why the rook moved. But yeah, this looks like it's going to be mop-up duty for Anish now.
Yeah, as you say, Robert, it's still, I think, very good for White, right? It's a case of that bishop is not a good piece in this ending.
Take on h5, play f5, play f6, you win the pawn game.
Oh, lovely. Lovely play. One of the best endgame players in the world, Anish. Now he's got a decision to make. Why didn't he take that one? I'm not sure. Because of this move. Wow. Brilliant play.
And it apparently is not winning for White. It feels like it should be. He's trying to go for he's trying to kick the king out, shoulder it, but now the king's come back towards the pawn. So as Anish, he's going for the clock. Look at the time. Anish just needs to keep his c3 pawn defended and move his knight around a bunch. Oh, but he put his knight on the worst.
And that was a big miss for Anish. Anish had a good chance there to get a lead in that one. He had a brilliant ending and very good save from Emin. And now we're seeing a bit more of a maneuvering game here.
Yes. Oh, the F file open. There could be pressure against the Black King, but I think that's a learning moment, a teaching moment for Anish, where he could have won that game by flagging Ohanyan, but he put his knight on the rim, and they say knights on the rim are dim, and that was actually a good example of why it just got trapped over there, so he couldn't just hop around the board. But in this game, this looks pretty good for White. If I didn't have the eval bar for the side, but it says Black is better.
That evaluation bar does trick me as well. I was thinking exactly the same. I was thinking the Black King is weak here. You have a great chance to attack it. And the evaluation bar's catching up with us, Robert.
Whoa.
Yeah, we were right all along there, of course.
Yes, of course. And h6 is hanging, but for some reason it allowed the e-pawn to go forward, as it does. Knight f5 at some moment. So it does seem like Black is holding everything together. But I'm with you. It just felt like, okay, now it is winning for White.
Little trick though, if you take the knight, there's a queen check.
Oh,
and you're going for it because of this move. That was really well calculated. And now the Black King surely in a checkmate net here.
but where is the knockout? Maybe king h1. now that your rook on f1 is defended, play king h1, but he's not finding it. And I think he might stumble into repetition if he's not careful.
Wow. Well, he's going for the ending. I mean, this is a backup thing that he has with the extra material. And he's just keeping it very simple here.
So can he... Oh, you see the eval bar go down because he can't trade the queens like he wanted to.
Yeah. Queen endings are notoriously tough because there's so many checks that are just impossible to calculate. And as white here, you could fall into perpetual. I like what white's doing, but very nearly a perpetual check. It's just on the clock. Just on the clock.
But Anish put his queen, he gave a check, but he walked into a counter check, and now it's clear. It's a win for Ohanian. So Emin Ohanian, he is a determined player right now. He was not happy with his performance yesterday, and he's saying, I already have more points today, double that I did yesterday.
He's playing great chess today as well. I really like what he's doing. He's not only playing tactics, as a mix of positional play. And into this game, well, Anish has got to keep the score close. Interesting what Anish has done. Those white pawns in the middle, are they strong or are they weak? They're double pawns, but they do cover a lot of squares. And sometimes having double pawns in the middle of the board is a good thing. Because here, for example, you stop the black knights from jumping into the position.
Yeah, the knight on e6 and g6, where are they going exactly? The answer is nowhere anytime soon. And the d6 pawn now is a bit tender, but look at those rooks for black. They are putting pressure on the white king side, and white barely in time to defend.
Yeah. And will we have a mass exchange here? Nope. The black knight dives in. Queen and knight, notoriously tricky. Okay. White has a bit more space here, but black has the better structure.
Much better structure, but I get... Oh, an e4 looks very tender. Queen g6 I thought was going to be the way.
Good spot there, Robert. I think that would have won a pawn quite nicely. And he can play it now as well. There was another chance to get the black queen to where the knight is.
Oh, when he went king f1, it was the fork.
And he tried it again, but it's not quite as strong now.
And now the white king is perfectly placed. I like the king on d3 because then you can get your knight back. You protect the c4 pawn.
Yeah, Anish now defending very well here.
b5.
And he gets a great square for his knight. This could actually turn.
And
a
don't
white
play
knight. Yeah.
Don't play queen b4, I was going to say, because the queen takes f6 check. There are all sorts of knight forks. But this is clearly turning for white.
Yeah. Draw quite lightly, but again, it comes down to the clock here. Should be a draw. They just have to keep each other's kings out of the position, but black is very short of time. Is that a draw? I think that was a draw.
But that's
another close game, Robert.
That's a mistake, Simon. He could have flagged him. Lose all your pieces except for one pawn. As long as you win on time, you get a full point. I think Anish, he needs to be more shameless. He needs to stop thinking, oh, what's the best move, and just go for the flag. Because he had the position where Emin had to force opposition. That takes some time. Just bring your king back a couple times and then see what happens. So I think that he wasted an opportunity.
Robert, I'm always I feel a little bit dirty after flagging my opponents like that. I kind of feel like, oh, I don't know if I should have done that. But it is a legitimate part of the game, right? You have to flag them in the dirtiest manner possible. Is that what I've got to do? I've got to start being a bit more cold-hearted, right?
I think so. And I actually see Danya talk about this on stream quite a bunch, where people are like, why didn't you accept that person's draw offer? And it's like, well, they had 2 seconds to my 20 seconds. Like, well, I don't owe them a draw, and especially not in a competition. And Anish is doing well with the black pieces. He's blockaded his opponent's pass pawn. Those are isolated pawns for white. And you mentioned this in a previous match. Look at the color of the bishops, right? Light square bishops, and white's pawns are in light square. So I think that Anish should go after those pawns.
Yeah. He does have the better structure, and if that black king can ever come towards the queen side, it's going to be very dangerous. Black's certainly the one pushing here. You're right, though. I mean, the clock is so important, and winning on time is legitimate, because if someone's moving slower, it means they're getting more time to think about their moves. So you should use that against them. But flagging, big part of the game.
In this game, Anish might win on the board, but he should look to flag his opponent again because I see the time difference is 6+ seconds in Anish's favor. So I don't care what the evaluation is unless he gives up a queen, which he hasn't. Just flag him right now.
Just go for the flag. Let's see if he can do it. Maybe this is a very important one to keep an eye on. And also black's pawns are making a lot of progress, right?
Yeah, now black just might just win. But even if that pawn is lost on a2 somehow, and now he's getting promoted, this is not even shameless. You just make random rook moves on dark squares and you win the game.
Yeah. It is a drawn position, this, technically, in classical chess, but there you go. Can I call that a dirty flag? I don't think so. There's no such thing as a dirty flag. No, that's wrong to say that.
In bullet chess, I mean, flagging is literally what you aim to do, right? It's like you're just not. Of course, you're not trying to play the best possible chess. Otherwise, you would play with more than a minute on your clock. So I think that for Anish, that should get him in the flow. But for Ohanyan, I mean, he's still even after that loss. He's playing a good match thus far, and he's playing very solidly and quickly out of the opening stage.
Yeah. So if one side can win this game, they will take a lead in the match. I really like White's position. The White Queen and the White Knights making a great advancement on the king side. That H-pawn now gripping the light squares. Look at the light squares. That White Knight coming into a light square. Now the light squares opening up. A great rook swing here. Black defending well, though.
Oof.
I say defending well, but maybe not, Robert.
Well, there is no well because the problems are endless, and here just bishop takes h6 is going to lead to a checkmate. So I think Ohanyan will just resign.
That was a smooth game. That was a quality game from Anish. So Anish now ahead in the match. And Emin, can he bounce back in this one?
We'll find out, but I think when you flag someone like that, it actually can build your confidence in bullet, where you say, oh, I had so much extra time. Like, I have things under my control, and that was a very controlled game just there from Anish.
Yeah, definitely. And just a bit of news, I think, in Eric Hansen's match, it doesn't seem like Erigaisi has turned up or may make it to the game, which is good news for Eric fans, as he might progress to the next round and we get more Eric. Maybe we see more of his cocktails. I'm looking forward to seeing what will be coming out next.
I pulled up my phone, which I normally don't do on broadcast, but I don't know if people could see it, but that's the game that Arjun Erigaisi is currently in against Yu Yangyi. So they're still playing an endgame, which means that Eric Hansen moves on. Arjun Erigaisi has forfeited because he's busy trying to defend a classical game of chess. But that's neither here nor there because Emin Ohanyan, he wants to even the score. Simon, I think he's doing a great job with the white pieces. Look at the pressure down the A file and a protected pass pawn on C5.
Yeah, he's playing very well here. That pressure on the queen side is good. I mean, it does look like Anish is at least now attacking. The white queen is rather peculiar on that square. It's trapped itself in. Maybe it's not a big deal. Nice maneuver of the white knight here.
Yeah, this has been strange. The queen on h2 not participating, but it doesn't have to when you have a beautiful knight on f4, and there the queen has wrapped back around, but suddenly black is going for the attack.
The evaluation bar really doesn't know where it stands, but it's generally always in white's favour. If the white queen can join in, it will be the end, and here comes the white queen.
And I think
getting into the position.
Anish needs to try some kind of f4 at some moment. Like, just throw your pawns forward. Oh, or not. Just steal the pawns.
Yeah. Oh, look at these tactics there.
Has to be good for white. C7. Oh.
Yeah, C7 looks good, but he's lost that pawn now. Oh, big check there. Big check.
Yeah, it's a win.
He picks up the rook.
That was nasty by Ohanyan. He noticed the forking distance between the rook and king, and he takes that one with 3.6 seconds to spare. So even match. Simon, I feel like this has felt very back and forth where, sure, there have been some spoiled chances in individual games, but on the whole, it seems like 4.5 is completely reasonable based on what we've seen.
Totally agree. This opening has been working for Anish now, and I guess, Robert, one thing you get in these matches, you have to feel out your opponent in the first 8 games. So you've got to work out where they might be a little bit weak in the opening, and where you should be probing them. And maybe this is something that Fabiano didn't quite do enough right. He didn't change his openings, but I like what Anish is doing. This opening seems to be getting in good positions with the white pieces.
Yeah, you got the knight blocking the pawn d4, and Chessbra, Eric Hansen, says only way to win. I don't think he's talking about 2 knights versus 2 bishops. Winning by 4, that's still a win. We count that as a dub. You move on, so take that and enjoy it, and we will certainly enjoy seeing you tomorrow playing in your next match. But I think that this game right here, I don't know if it's enjoyable for either side. I feel like there's so much tension in the center right now. And F5, oh, I do not like that move. You just handed your opponent a pass pawn if he goes e6.
Yeah, it's a block position, and it's kind of well known that in block positions, the knight is a fantastic piece, and it might look like the black bishop is getting quite active, but I have a lot of faith in the white knight here. I say that, and the black king creeps in, but still, I still prefer white at this moment. Okay, I still prefer white at this moment. No, I don't. Black's doing well. What am I talking about? I'm talking rubbish.
Just don't blunder a fork, and I think that everything's under control. But knight f5 at some moment could be annoying for black to deal with. That's why he's thinking, do I go king c3 or not? That was a nice move because that knight has to stay in front of the e-pawn.
Yeah, he's squeezing that knight there. It's still not easy to win for black, but the pawns are dropping and just has too many pawns there. And what happened there? Was I wrong in thinking that white was doing well? It just changed so quickly.
White was doing well, and you mentioned how closed board favors the knight. Anish suddenly opened the board. The black king ran up 10 extra seconds for Ohanin when that game just ended. There are only 8.5 minutes left in this match. We should remind everybody, like we have been, it's win by 2. And considering that this match has gone back and forth, it's hard to imagine somebody jumping out to a 2-point lead. That feels like 20, considering how tight this one has been. But with only just over 8 minutes remaining, the players need to keep that in the back of their minds.
Yeah, certainly. And you know, it seems that when one player wins, the other player just levels the score here. Okay, a little tactic there, and it looks like white has grabbed a pawn pretty much for free there. It's a useful pawn to grab because it actually means your knight on c3 can never get kicked away. And this could now be a good chance to get a little bit of a lead over Anish or Emin.
One of the big questions that we always have is you look at the clock, you look at the board, right? Which is more important? And I guess that was a bit aimless by Anish. The e4 pawn, it seems like it's loose, but now it's not because the knight just planted itself on d5.
Yeah, I think Anish could have got away with taking that one, but he decided to play it safe. And when you play the Sicilian as black, playing it safe is something you don't really have the luxury of doing. Now, at the right moment, white will be playing c5 here. Okay, this is another way of doing it. Black gets the pawn back now, though.
I forgot the rooks defend each other through the white rook. That felt like a blunder at first to me.
It did, but I think Anish has just blundered there by allowing that a pawn to become so strong. And white's position is a lot easier to play now. You just use the a pawn to harass black.
Queen.
And this is...
Oh. Ugh. I guess you had to do that because the rook on a3 was loose, but who likes a rook on g3? This isn't Dingley Wren versus Jan the Pawn Machine.
Yeah. Oh, blunder there. Blunder. And Anish going 2 points down now.
Okay.
And it was surprising. I mean, we looked at the game. Let's just remind everyone what the score was yesterday, right? I mean, got destroyed, right, yesterday. Got absolutely destroyed, and here he's showing just what he's capable of doing, playing brilliant chess. Probably a little nod towards Hikaru there, right? Because Hikaru just went straight through him yesterday. Got a massive score.
And yeah, I think more than anything, as you're implying, it shows just how strong Hikaru Nakamura is in bullet chess. That he beat somebody who is very talented, who's right now leading against Anish Giri 22.5 to 1.5. That was insane, for lack of a better word. And we see this queen on c3 in these London systems. That queen can be in trouble, it can be attacked, but it's safely sitting on that square. What I did like a moment ago was Anish's lead on the clock. That has disappeared, and it's about a level game according to the engines.
Yeah. If Anish loses another one, though, it's going to be 3 down with only about 5 minutes to go. So it's getting to a very tense stage now. Anish can't lose, I don't know, many more games, maybe even this one.
Yeah, you say
Do
many.
we like his position? Yeah.
can't maybe lose any. And I did like it. Watch out, knight f6. Watch out for that that check hitting the queen on d7.
Nice spot there. Black does dodge it, and the black queen now coming right into the guts, and black has this dangerous passed pawn backed up by another black pawn. Black's position looking pretty good here.
When that knight is going to d6 to steal b7 at some point, it looks like that might be... it protects c4. That knight is a hero on d6.
It is. Anish just holding on at this moment in time. But he's up on time as well.
And he's going to win. The c-pawn is going forward, and he's well ahead in the clock. I mean, that Anish has been, I think, the better of the two in mutual scrambles. I'll give him credit for that. But he has been a bit inaccurate in key moments, allowing his opponent to make draws in those scrambles.
Yeah. He's going to get there on this one. We have about 4.5 minutes left, and it's going to be 1 point in it. Very close match. But that was a key win by Anish, and he played fantastically to convert that ending. Another exciting Sicilian here. Goes into the Shrezhnikov opening, named after the late Shrezhnikov. He only passed away quite recently, actually.
Yeah, what a legend, Evgeny Sveshnikov, throughout his career. So, when you have an opening named after you, especially one that's so popular, that's pretty awesome.
It is, yeah. And the idea of this opening for black is that black kind of gives up some positional ideas by getting those double pawns we saw earlier, but gets a lot of active play. And that rook, that's going to be coming all the way over. Anish going for a big attack here against white's king. White should be doing all right, but it's dangerous. Look at the black pieces flying in. This is great play by Anish so far.
I would have thought that it was borderline winning for black, if I saw this initially. Queen f8 to go rook h6. I mean, speaking of geometry and just full board awareness, that was something. He stops checkmate in 1. And by the way, MVL, we see you. Stop trying to give a chatter's curse to Anish. You were rooting for him yesterday. As soon as you started chatting, it went wrong for him. So give the guy a break. Come on. He can deserve a little time off from your curses and jinxes.
I think everyone loves Anish, really, don't they? They pretend not to.
Queen h6 mate!
Oh my words. No emotion on Anish's face there after falling for a mate in 1, but that was brutal. And that could be the big... And MVL, that's the MVL curse, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Although he just won a piece out of the opening in this game. So the timing of that featured chat happened to be perfect in Maxim's favor, but we know Maxim said that while the previous game was happening. So look at this. It's a free piece. Knight takes f6, d5, you win a piece. And Simon, not only should Anish win this game, he's doing it so quickly that he'll probably get another game before the match timer elapses, which means he could head into extra time as tied, or if he loses that next game that he'll get, the match will just be over. Maxime.
I love what Maxime is saying there. He's saying it's not a jinx if my boy is an idiot. Brutal. That's just brutal.
Oh, that is, I think it's also fair.
Yeah, brutally fair. Maybe bishop takes h6 at some point, but this is obviously winning for white. White's just got to play sensible moves and not fall for any tricks in the position.
I'm looking at the clocks. Anish is keeping a healthy lead on time. So sometimes you get winning positions and you take a little bit too much time trying to be perfect. But no, he's just finding the tactics. He's stealing pawns. He's still up a piece. Oh, rook e6 I like, but don't get back rank mated with rook d1, rook h1.
Yeah. Every single stage so far today has gone down to the playoffs, and it looks very likely now. Keeping a close eye. Let's remember that when that clock in the top left gets down to 0, that is the end of the match, but you need a 2-point lead. And they have another game. So what's the score here? So this means if white wins, does he go through? Have I got that right?
If white wins, he is through. If it's a draw or a black win, we get extra time, and we know what the people want. The people want extra time. It's free chess. You're going to get to sit there and see some of the best bullet players in the world combat these games out against one another. But as we see here, Emin Ohanian, he's going for the kill on the king side.
He is throwing that knight in, and the rook now coming up behind it. I like this way of playing, and he gets that lovely square in the centre of the board there.
There must
White
be
knight
an
looking
F6.
fantastic. Oh, this is so dangerous for Anish now. The problem with Anish's position, his king side is now getting scattered, and it's also the centre of the board, which is under White's control, and that's not a move you want to play.
Okay, but
Really dangerous here.
ooh, he's going to play rook g8. He's barely holding on this rook f5. But the good news for black is if that rook moves from f5, the f6 pawn is loose. But I like that move queen h3. I think both sides are handling this quite... Oh, he put his queen!
Oh! He just blundered his queen, Robert. He's dropped his queen. And look at that. Look at the reaction on his face. Hand over the mouth there.